I don't really follow it probably as much as I really should. My family is like a huge football family. Okay. Obviously, my brother is at UConn.
What's your favorite team?
I'm biased. I have to say UConn, even though they're not.
No, like professionally.
Oh, professional?
Jets.
Not the Jets.
Hey everyone, what's up? Welcome back to the chat. I'm your host, Samara Iman, and today we are joined by a very special guest, Alexis Neider of Central Connecticut Women's Volleyball. And a little background, we're both from Milford, so she's my first Milford guest on the podcast, so I'm so excited to have you here.
Thank you for having me. I'm super excited.
Yeah, so of course this podcast is to give everyone a platform to talk about their sports journey. So I know when we were both at Jonathan Law, you played softball and volleyball, of course. So I just want to talk through how you got to Central Connecticut, because I know, as I always say, it's not easy playing college sports. So I kind of just want to hear your journey to Central and kind of, the ups and downs on the way.
Yeah, definitely. So in high school, like you said, I played softball, volleyball, basketball. I actually did track for a little bit too. But I didn't really start taking volleyball, like I could play seriously at that level until I would say around my junior year. My sophomore year is when I decided to quit basketball. Okay. And I talked to my softball coach a little bit about this too, that I was going to start playing club volleyball in the off season just so I could kind of like hone in a little bit more. Mm-hmm. And then, like I said, that was probably around my sophomore, junior year, and then COVID hit. So that kind of put a damper on everything. Yeah. But I played club only for about a year, and then I know you're probably aware, like your junior year is when you start reaching out to schools. Mm-hmm. For me specifically, that was all remote just because of the pandemic. And all email, all call. I actually didn't have any official visits.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
So all of it was through I would do virtual tours.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. I didn't actually see Central until the first day of orientation.
Wow. That's crazy.
Yeah.
Wow. So you could have honestly got there and been like, oh, no, literally. Yeah. I feel like COVID really, throughout all sports, no matter the level, professional, college, COVID really changed things. So I'm sure that was kind of a lot to deal with. You know?
Definitely. And it was kind of hard, I would say, throughout the whole recruiting process. You go through ups and downs, right? Do I really want to play? This is really physically, mentally exhausting. But I did hit a point where I definitely felt that, but clearly it ended up working out. Yeah. I ended up emailing. How I ended up committing was I committed October of my senior year, which is pretty late for Division I. Mm-hmm. Usually you commit pretty early on your junior year. But obviously for me that was a little bit different. I actually, they were the first school I ever emailed when I was going through the recruiting process, and I ended up falling through with them, and I kind of didn't know if I wanted to play. And then I kind of hit a point where I was like, I really have nothing to lose at this point. So I just sent them another email and I was like, look, I'm really interested still. If you have any spots, I would totally be open to talking to you guys about it. I actually remember I emailed her on a Wednesday and I committed that Friday.
Oh, wow. So that was quick.
Yeah, I'll never forget it. I was on the phone call with her right before my first ever game, my senior year. And she was like, we would love to offer you a spot. They literally were asking me what I touched on the phone, if I had any injuries. It was very weird, but I freaked out and I was like, oh my God, they just offered me, what do I do? Yeah. So I obviously called my parents and obviously discussed with them and was like, this is a really big commitment. You have to be really sure this is what you want to do. And 18-year-old me, that's a lot to take in. Especially after that entire recruiting process kind of being a mess. Mm-hmm. And I committed that Friday, and then I started reaching out to teammates, and then that's when I kind of really felt okay, I made the right choice here. Mm-hmm. So
I want to go back to kind of the very beginning. Yeah. Because I know you mentioned you played a lot of other sports, but I know I started out playing soccer and basketball when I was younger, and gymnastics. When did you start playing volleyball? Was that when you got to Jonathan Law, or was there kind of because I'm not too familiar with volleyball like clubs and stuff in Milford, because I know that wasn't too popular of a sport until people really got to high school.
Yeah.
So how did you get started with volleyball?
Yeah, so my whole life I pretty much played every single sport.
Yeah.
I have 2 brothers, so and my parents are very much involved in like having us play everything we possibly could. So I played soccer a majority of my life, which when I tell people, they're like, what the hell? Yeah,
I would have never expected that.
Yeah, I played soccer my whole life and basketball, and I kind of just never really like loved it. I also just wasn't really the best at it. So I remember my dad would always be like, you have this height and you're just like not getting it, like you gotta like so I really couldn't. I did play every sport, but I really couldn't like I didn't really feel like I like found my like thing.
Your calling.
And then I got to high school and I did like a couple volleyball clinics before high school, but it was never anything like
serious.
I was like, oh, this is fun, like my friends doing it. And then I got to high school, I was like the tallest girl in the gym, and I was like, oh wait, maybe like this is what I could be good at. Yeah. And then I remember like I literally didn't know the rules at all, like my freshman year. And like obviously they teach you everything, but I would say like the first time I really like figured out what volleyball was, like the rules and like how it works, was high school. Yeah.
And I know you were pretty successful in high school. You were all state, all conference, and I think all New Haven register as well. When did you really know that you might have a shot at playing Division I? Because I know you mentioned, COVID kind of changed things like during that process, and obviously COVID took a toll on everyone, mentally. So when did you know, like even when you were getting all those accolades, when did you really know that you would have a shot at playing Division I? And even I just want you to talk about that process a little more. Like, were there any other schools that you were looking at?
Yeah. So like I said, Central was the first school I had reached out to, and I was not expecting them to like even have interest. I mean, I was good in high school, but when you're talking about Division I, it's like
it's a whole different world.
So I really was focused on like Division III, Division II schools, just because I wanted to see if I would even like it. I mean, I wasn't really that fully committed to D1. Like I need to go D1. I didn't even really understand what Division I sports really were. It's just like, oh, I'm D1. Like, let's just see. So I like they were the first school I'd reached out to, and when they responded and were like, we want to invite you to this camp, I was like, oh my God, like maybe I can. So then that kind of really opened the door for me. I talked to Fairfield a little bit. I talked to Quinnipiac a little bit as well. Those were like kind of the 2 I really liked. I kind of wanted to stay closer to home. There was a couple of D3 schools in like Massachusetts, like around that area, but I really just, I will be honest, like when you hear like Division I, it kind of catches your attention a little bit more. But
especially when there are schools in Connecticut.
Exactly.
Because I feel like one thing that is really good is Connecticut does have a lot of Division I schools. If you want to stay close to home, there's so many options. And I mean, Fairfield, Quinnipiac, even Central, they're all good schools. So I feel like that really worked out in your favor. Yeah,
I mean, I definitely also did go through a phase where I was like, I need to get out of Connecticut. Like, I want to go far.
Me, we all go through that phase, because even like I ended up going to UConn, but before then I was like, I'm going down south. I'm going to North Carolina. I'm going to South Carolina. And I ended up right at UConn. So
I mean, in volleyball, I don't know if you know, down south and out Midwest are like, it's a completely different world. So I was like looking at schools in Florida, North Carolina, South Carolina, and I was like, at this point, like I don't even want to play. Like I just want to go down there. But like I said, there was a lot of ups and downs, and like I kind of figured out pretty quickly. Like I want to be close to home, and a lot of Division III and Division II schools don't give athletic money, or they give academic money, and the school ends up still being like $20,000, $30,000, $40,000. So it was also the most financially, I would say, best choice for me too at the time.
And kind of, I know you're going into, well, you just finished your 3rd season at Central. How was it?
It was good. I would say it's definitely a little bit of a roller coaster, especially like my 3rd year. It goes by so fast.
Very fast.
We are just looking forward to kind of finishing out my last year. I'm really excited. Yeah, I'm just looking forwards to we are going through a coaching change at the moment. So we're kind of like navigating that a little bit and just really seeing what the future will bring. I'm super excited. So.
And when you first got to Central, what was the biggest change for you going from high school? Because I know even when you first got to Central, you were coming off, like we were all coming off the pandemic. So how was that?
Definitely, like I talked to my brother a lot about this. He plays football at UConn. Everyone is the best where they're coming from. So you're really like, not only are you being demanded more of physically, it's a huge mental game. You're a freshman in college, you just met these people, and now it's like, all right, go play Division I sports, and you're like, holy shit, like
it's like your first time away from home.
Exactly.
But now you have to
perform.
It's a lot at a high level.
And for me especially, like I'm sure in high school I was like a middle and an outside, and I'll never forget my first practice. I walked in, they're like, you're gonna go pass. I was like, oh my god, I've never passed.
Wait, I just want you to, because she's gonna educate me a little bit right here, so I want you to explain what is middle hitter, right? And the outside hitter. I want you to kind of explain what that is, because I definitely, and I'm sure a lot of people out there need some education on volleyball 101.
Yeah, so I would say in most simplest terms, the middle blocker is the name of the position, is usually your tallest player, because they have to be quick and able to go from pin to pin to block. That's their main job, is to block. They hit, but mainly they block. That's their main job. Your outside is, I would say, your strongest hitter. They play usually 6 rotations. If not, they'll get subbed out for like a DS to pass for them. But they get a majority of the sets. They have a better like vision of the court, so they hit shots. They can hit like pretty much everywhere. They also block, but that's not their main job. So, middle is the one that gets subbed out for the girl in the different jersey.
Because
middle's
and that's
usually
the
can't pass.
libero.
Yes.
I know a little bit. I went to a few games in high school. And have you all, because I know before we started, I know you mentioned, your positions have changed a little bit. So are you still in the same, like how was it? I know you mentioned your position was changed in college. So how was that? Yeah,
I mean, definitely coming in, like my freshman, sophomore year was a little bit like, all right, I have to kind of put my feelings aside here and kind of do what I'm told. Which definitely was hard. I mean, you want to do what you're kind of good at. But at the end of the day, the coaches know what's best for you, and they wouldn't have brought you on the team in the first place if they didn't think you could do what they wanted. My brother went through a similar experience. Obviously, he was a quarterback. Now he's switched back to wide receiver. So I have a lot of conversations with him. Like, listen, like it is very hard, but you like, trust me, you'll get through it, and you'll actually probably end up liking this position more, which I found for myself. Obviously,
I'm sure you didn't expect that.
Obviously, like Division I is very physically demanding, like with lift and workouts and stuff like that. So I tell myself all the time, like if I were doing all this jumping and these lifts and workouts, I would crash and burn. So I'm glad I'm in a different position now where I just like am going for balls on the ground rather than jumping up and going to get them. So.
Yeah. And what's a typical day like for you at Central? I guess, and now that the season just ended, what was a typical day like for you when you were in season? Yeah, so in the fall, obviously we're a fall sport, so we have our preseason, which is usually around a month. We get there really early. This year we moved in around August 8th, and then our preseason ends around end of August. So that is kind of where all of it really hits you. I mean, we're doing 2-a-day practices with a lift in between some days. And then we'll do a lot of like fun team bonding stuff, but that's really where you have to like focus in and like really lock in for that. And then after preseason ends is when we move into our regular season. So we will have a game either every Friday or Saturday, but a typical like day, I would have class from around like 9 until around 2 o'clock. And then I would go right to lift on either Monday or Tuesday for about an hour, like around 2, 3, 4 o'clock. And then my practices are actually at night. Yeah, so we would practice from either 4:30 to 6:30 or 7 o'clock to 9 o'clock. Wow. But this year we did, I think we did 6:30 to or 8:30. Yeah, because the dining hall would close. So we would kind of, we do go super late, and it is tough with homework and stuff. But it's a grind in the fall. Wow, that's a pretty crazy schedule. And how was that? Has that always been like that since you got there? That pretty much the same schedule every year?
Yeah, I mean, our spring season is our off season, so that's when it's a little bit different. But the fall has been consecutively the same, I would say.
Okay, and I mean, in high school we used to practice right after school. God. So how has that changed, going from practicing right after school to practicing at night, and kind of your entire schedule and what you're used to changing?
Yeah, I mean, in high school we also would practice for 3 hours. Yeah, and it was like, all right, we're gonna play Queen of the Court, or like we would just do like fun team stuff. And it's like in college, it's like we're gonna pass this entire practice. It's like, oh my god, I really gotta focus. Yeah. But I would say like it's definitely a lot of time management. Like after high school, I would be done at 5 o'clock. Obviously, I'm 16, 17 years old, so I'm not really having a lot of homework, or like I don't have a job or anything. Yeah. Like now I'm fully working at school, and I have like taking a full course load. So I would say that is definitely something I've had to grow into, is the time management aspect. Yeah.
And how is that, like, even on the road, like when you guys are on the road, how do you balance, your homework, but then also, preparing for your upcoming match? Like how do you deal with all that?
What I found best works for me is I will get all my homework done. Like, let's say I know there's one trip, it's like 7 hours in Pennsylvania. We leave that Thursday. I will make sure I have like all my stuff done that Wednesday. Or if I have like a discussion board or something due, I'll do it like on the bus. So yeah, I'm pretty good about getting everything done before, because I know like after a game or something, I'm not going to want to go back to the hotel and like I'm going to want to go to sleep.
Work, yeah. So I'm really curious, because I know every school is different. Being at UConn, it's a huge basketball school. So I'm curious, what is the atmosphere like at Central when it comes to sports? Like, with the student body, like supporting each team, like the teams supporting each other. So what's that kind of like?
I would say for us, we really love women's soccer. Shout out. We love going to their games. They actually won the conference this year.
Oh, okay, cool.
Yeah, so they're really fun to watch.
Oh, actually, I did know that, because a girl that I played club soccer with when I was younger, she plays on the women's team. Yeah. So we go to their games. They come to ours. I would say like some football will come support, and vice versa. We'll go to their games when we can, because we're in the same season. Yeah, which is a little bit hard. A lot of the teams, we do have games on the same days, but we really are like very supportive of each other, I would say, as a whole. Okay, that's good. Yeah. And then even just like, what's it like just being an athlete at Central? Because I know it is a smaller school. Yeah. So what is it like?
Like I was saying before, if you play a sport at Central, you kind of have this like weird connection. Like you'll kind of always be supporting each other. We all are going through the same kind of lifts and schedule. So there's always kind of a more common understanding from athlete to athlete, which I think really helps bring everyone together as one big kind of family. I mean, we do like a lot of community service as a student body, and like our AD is really good about that. So I think everyone is like just really supportive of each other, and really works to make sure that kind of maintains throughout.
And I know this season just ended for you, but what are you looking forward to the most next season?
I think honestly, just being a senior is something I always look forward to. Being the oldest is really fun. It is kind of tough being the young one on a college team, but I love it. I would not change anything about it. I'm looking forward to kind of a new coach coming in, kind of seeing what they're all about, what they're going to bring in, what they're going to keep the same. Yeah. Really just like working with my teammates to we want to win a ring. That's our goal. So kind of really just focusing in, working as a team. We know we can do it. So kind of just looking forward to where we will go in the future.
Yeah. And I mean, I know even when I was in high school, I feel like the senior year is always the best. Just the senior night and just everything to be able to kind of celebrate your career at wherever school you're at. So yeah, I'm excited for you. I'm excited for you for that. And what do you? So you're a psychology major, right?
Correct. Yeah.
So what are you looking to do once you graduate from Central?
This is a great question. I get this question a lot. With psych, you often have to go do post grad like grad school. I don't really know what I'm going to do, to be completely honest. I'm still like trying to figure it out. I figured out what I don't like, so I feel like that's good. But I really like working with kids. I've done that a couple times. So I'm kind of just trying to figure out, you know, what's going to be the best choice for me, kind of long term or short term even. Kind of just navigating that. I know a bunch of my friends are going to PA school, which kind of scares me. So I'm like, oh, I don't maybe know if I want to go down that path, but kind of just figuring out, like I said, like what I don't like is kind of what's helping me the best.
Okay.
Yeah.
And I know Central, it being a smaller school, do you ever kind of go, are you guys ever able to kind of travel to other schools? Like, I know for like, obviously I didn't play college sport, but are you able to, you know, like visit other friends at other schools? Because I know just being a college athlete, you're always practicing kind of in the off season too, but what's it like the flexibility and like the free time, like just being able to do things kind of away from volleyball? Yeah,
so in season we have one off day a week, which is our Sundays. Freshman year I would really take advantage of that and I would go home a ton. But now living at school and obviously like making more friends, I think the last time I was home besides now was in August. I will try and go see my brother whenever I can, because he's like 30 minutes from me at UConn. But otherwise, like, we don't have time. I mean, my friends from home who don't play sports, like, will always text me. And I always say, I'm like, I'm really sorry. You're probably not going to hear or get a response at least for a week. But they are luckily super understanding. And like, when I come home, it's like no time has passed and I can hang out with them. But I'm glad I have friends who are understanding, because if I didn't, it would kind of be a shit show. But they do get it, and I am grateful when I do get to see them when I come home when volleyball's over.
All right, so now I want to transition into our segment, Make It Snappy, do some rapid fire Q&A. So whatever comes to your mind, just blurt it out, you know? Okay. All right, you ready? All right. Favorite thing to do outside of volleyball?
Sleep, honestly. As much as I can, sleep, or like hang out with friends, go shopping.
If you weren't playing volleyball in college, what sport would you be playing?
Oh, that's a good one. Probably softball, honestly, because that's the one I kind of did at the same time in high school. I was decently good at until I started caring about volleyball a little bit more, so I would say softball.
Favorite athlete?
Oh my God, that's a good one. I would say right now in college volleyball, I really like Lexi Rodriguez. She's a libero at Nebraska.
Okay.
I would say all-time athlete, though, probably like Michael Jordan, someone like basic.
Not basic.
LeBron, someone like good.
Favorite meal?
Chipotle, easy, and it's so good.
Of course, shout out Chipotle. Favorite artist to listen to before a match?
Drake, 21 Savage Drake. I actually run the aux in the locker room.
Oh, really?
Yeah, so I have like a whole playlist. It's just a bunch of like hardcore
That does
Drake.
not surprise me. Favorite school to play against?
Sacred Heart, which sucks because they're leaving the conference, but that is always like a huge rival game. It's always so much fun. So yeah, Sacred Heart.
Okay. Favorite sports team?
Nebraska. They were killing it. They just actually lost to Wisconsin last night.
Oh, wow.
They were undefeated, like 27-0, but yeah, they're super good.
Biggest volleyball ick?
I hate when girls will like fight across the net with you. Or they'll like argue a point and it's just so clearly our point. That really gets me. Or like yelling to the refs. Like, I hate that stuff.
Yeah. Favorite TV show?
Oh, I would say right now, Selling Sunset on Netflix.
Yes, such a good one. Such a good one.
So good.
All right, last one. Are you the best TikToker on your team?
Yes. And I know people on my team are going to watch this and say otherwise, but yes, I'm the best TikToker.
All right, that was Make It Snappy. We have to go over some of those answers. So first, let me tell you guys, her TikToks are hilarious. Because I don't know what, like she said, she doesn't know yet what she wants to do with psych, but she definitely might have a career in TikTok after playing volleyball, because her TikToks are hilarious.
Next question. Dang, bro, you all right, man?
What is it finna play? Wow!
You guys have to go follow her on TikTok. But going back to talking about Nebraska.
Yeah.
So I feel like this year is probably the only time I really started following college volleyball, and I watched Nebraska's game when they set the record for attendance. That was insane. That I know that was, you know, all over social media, all over that was like the number one thing being talked about in the sports world. And I know you mentioned you follow Nebraska. So kind of what were your thoughts on when that all happened, and, you know, how do you, because I know you're busy during the season, how do you keep up with other teams in college volleyball?
I would say definitely once it gets closer to the championship is when I start to like really focus, because then I'm like not really in season and I can kind of see like who's ranked where, whatever. But when they did that, I was like, it's such a powerful thing in women's sports, especially because volleyball didn't really start picking up, I would say, until the last 5 years. So for them to do that really just goes to show like we can do it just as well as the guys can, and people are going to watch. So I think it was really just honestly a good power move for women's sports, and 100%. Like a lot of girls my age too, which really goes to show like how cool it was. So,
and even after Nebraska set the attendance record, I know Iowa women's basketball went on to play a basketball game in a football stadium. So it's like they kind of set that set that standard. And, you know, like you said, college volleyball isn't the most popular, especially because it's during the same season as college football. So I know that probably that takes over a lot of you know, a lot of the attention. But getting into college volleyball, I mean college football, do you kind of follow college football at all?
I mean, I definitely like on Twitter and Instagram will see like stuff. I don't really follow it probably as much as I really should. My family is like a huge football family. Obviously my brother is at UConn.
What's your favorite team?
I'm biased. I have to say UConn, even though they're not.
No, like professionally.
Oh, professional?
Jets.
Not the Jets. My dad is.
She's like, that's the last
My
team.
dad is a huge Jets fan. Like my brothers too. I honestly, whatever's on the TV, I'll watch. Like Travis Kelce, I know is on the Chiefs. And I literally only know some of them because of like Taylor Swift and like Alex Earl. The Dolphins with Braxton Berrios. But otherwise, I really just don't.
She knows
a little bit.
She knows the stuff that the sports girlies should know.
But I don't really follow as much as I probably should.
And I know your brother obviously plays at UConn. And I mean, I'm sure it does kind of suck that you guys are in the same season, so you don't really get to see any of his games. But do you ever, like when you're not playing, do you ever get to watch any of his games on TV or anything?
Yeah, I was actually able to go to one this year. I had an off weekend. I think it was like 4 days, so I was able to go and watch him with my parents. He actually, like, he hasn't been in until the last game. And he's playing again today, so obviously it's at UMass in Massachusetts, so we're not going. But just being able to see him like really do well now is like, I'm happy for him. So.
And so kind of my last question for you, so just kind of this entire journey and just being at Central and just all that comes with being a college athlete, what's your favorite, kind of a two-part question, what's your favorite part about being a athlete at Central, and then also what's your favorite part about being just a college athlete in general?
This kind of answers both questions, I guess. I would say specifically for at Central, everyone is really just super down to earth, really gets each other, is there to help each other. I'm sure this is the same at every school, but really that's really important to me, is a sense of community, and I felt that from like the very moment I started playing sports there. And then I would say just college athletics in general, my team, my friends that I've made through playing college sports, even high school sports, those, I'm sure you know, those friendships like will never go away. And these are people who are like going to be in my wedding. So I think the friendships and just the memories and the laughs, I mean, I could sit with my teammates and literally just laugh about everything.
Because I mean, you guys are together
24/7. So we can just laugh about anything. And I think it's such like a niche sense of humor because you're with these people all the time.
So you're laughing about anything. Because trust me, like, in high school, we would laugh about things in
So
practice,
dumb.
and our coach would be like, "Are you kidding me? Like, this is not the time."
I mean, my coach is a saint. Like, we would just goof off like crazy when it was acceptable, obviously. But she would just laugh at us and be like, "You guys are crazy." They definitely the laughs. I mean, they are just so funny. I love all of them so much.
Yeah,
so.
and I know, like I said, I follow you on TikTok. I always see you doing TikToks with your teammates and in the locker rooms and stuff. So, like I said in a previous episode, you know, I think on my end, one thing that I did kind of regret when I was a freshman is not playing a college sport, because you do get that type of camaraderie that you talk about. So yeah, I'm really happy for you, and and kind of just seeing, you know, different people from Milford go on to play college sports and just being successful, maybe like in their own way, but then also I think there's different definitions of success, you know, and maybe your team may not be the best, or you may not be having the best season or anything, but I think it's all about, you know, what's coming out of that. You know, like you said, you have great friends, you have a great coach, and even though you're getting a different coach, but yeah, I think that's what it's really all about. And, you know, that's why I like to welcome athletes like you who are still in college and who can still, you know, come and share these stories. Because, you know, I think that's the best part of sports, is that there's so many stories that people can tell.
There's so many stories.
Before we go, tell me, I wanted to hear one story from this season.
From this season, I have a bunch. They all come from away trips. Like, that's where the crazy stuff really happens. We had one away trip. Our bus actually broke down, and we were stuck.
I actually think I saw that.
Oh my God,
I saw that TikTok.
We were stuck in like a Bertucci's parking lot for like hours, and we like couldn't get a bus. And then we ended up we hired this like company, like a car driving company, and we were like, "Coach, like we're Ubering back. Like, be honest."
Oh my God.
She's like, "We kind of are." So we literally got in like three cars.
Where were you?
Oh my God, I think Massachusetts. It was Merrimack.
Okay. Oh, good thing it wasn't too far.
I know. And we literally Ubered back, and it was like in another bus ride, like our 7-hour bus ride. Like, we all just hit a point where we're like ready to get off the bus.
Oh my God.
And we're all awake, like standing and dancing, and it's crazy, but it's so much fun.
Oh my God, that is so crazy.
Yeah.
I feel like, especially after you finish a game and it's like,
you're ready to go.
You're ready to go home and go to bed, and I'm sure you probably, if you have homework or anything, I'm sure you're probably over it.
Yeah, definitely.
But it was so nice talking to you, because I know, like, even in high school, like, you're a little younger, so like we weren't really, you know,
different groups.
Yeah, different groups. You're also like not always at law at the same time. Yeah. So it was really great talking with you, and, you know, just being able to hear your story, because, you know, like I said, I follow you on TikTok, but then there's certain things that you don't always know, like your journey during COVID and getting to Central. So, yeah, thank you for coming on and sharing your journey. Yeah. And I'll definitely, you know, be in touch and just seeing what you're doing. You're in your senior year, and I know this season just ended, but I wish you the best of luck with that.
Thank you so much for having me.
Of course. Thank you guys for listening to this episode of The Chat, and we'll see you guys next time.